Stay informed about the latest developments in cryptocurrency, politics, technology. Stay informed about the latest developments in cryptocurrency, politics, technology, and beyond with NewsSource Scrawlers edition covering the period from June 30, 2025, to July 7, 2025. YouTube Music Charts, Global Top Songs from June 27 to July 3, 2025. Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. Shaky by Sunja Rathod and G-Spark. Golden by HUNTR/X, EJAE, Audrey Nuna, REIAMI, and K-Pop. APT by Rose and Bruno Mars. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global, spanning from Friday, June 27 to Thursday, July 3, 2025, includes the following tracks: Ordinary by Alex Warren, Back to Friends by Somber, Manchild by Sabrina Carpenter, and Golden featuring HUNTR/X, EJAE, Audrey Nuna, REIAMI, and the K-Pop Demon Hunters cast. Discover the most popular games on Steam. This list highlights the top-selling and most played games worldwide. Based on the top 100 products by revenue, from Tuesday, June 24, 2025, to Tuesday, July 1, 2025, the featured games are Counter-Strike 2, Cyberpunk 2077, and Elden Ring. CISA and its partners are strongly advising critical infrastructure sectors to maintain heightened alertness in light of the ongoing geopolitical climate. They have introduced new guidelines aimed at mitigating vulnerabilities associated with memory. CormAI's Aqua 7B. This is CormAI's premier 7 billion parameter large language model, specifically designed for the global aquaculture sector. It stands as the inaugural large language model tailored for aquaculture. Aqua 7B is meticulously fine-tuned to provide practical insights for farming various aquaculture species, managing hatchery operations, controlling water quality, and addressing disease management. Trained on a vast dataset of over 3 million real and synthetic aquaculture discussions, totaling approximately 1 billion tokens, AquaGPT-7B harnesses the strength of domain-specific AI to benefit fish farms, hatcheries, researchers, and aquatech innovators globally. RFK Jr. aims for every American to wear a wearable device within the next 4 years. In the United States, the population of older adults surpasses that of children in 11 states and in almost half of the country's counties. According to a report by the New York Times, almost half of the murderers in America managed to evade justice. A wildfire in Crete, Greece, has led to the evacuation of 5,000 people amid an ongoing heatwave across Europe. A report supported by the United Nations highlights the growing threat of global drought, urging immediate action and describing recent droughts as a slow-moving global catastrophe. Additionally, the European Union aims to reduce emissions by 90% by 2040, a goal that has drawn criticism from environmental groups. In the United States, the Space Systems Command has awarded a contract valued at $2.8 billion to Boeing for the purpose of delivering the initial 2 satellites aimed at enhancing strategic communication capabilities. This initiative is crucial for supporting the nuclear command, control, and communications mission. France 24 has reported that intelligence sources indicate Beijing has been engaging in disinformation campaigns targeting French Rafale jets. The objective of these campaigns is reportedly to increase the sales of Chinese-manufactured aircraft. Japan has announced its plans to export used destroyers to the Philippines. This move is part of a broader strategy for both nations to counter China's influence in the maritime domain. The leader of Hezbollah has stated that he will not agree to disarm his group until Israel completely withdraws from the southern region of Lebanon. Israel has dispatched a delegation to Qatar to engage in discussions regarding hostages. However, the Israeli government finds the demands made by Hamas to be unacceptable. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has expressed his belief that former U.S. President Donald Trump could play a role in facilitating a ceasefire agreement. On the other hand, Hamas has indicated that it is responding to the proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza with a positive spirit. The ongoing conflict between Elon Musk and Donald Trump has resurfaced, with Musk, the owner of X, once again mentioning the Epstein list following Trump's criticism of Musk's new political party, which he labeled as ridiculous. Meanwhile, Axios has reported that the Department of Justice and the FBI have determined that Jeffrey Epstein did not possess a client list and concluded that his death was a suicide. Tesla's stock has experienced a significant decline after Trump dismissed Musk's political party initiative and described him as off the rails. China has responded to the European Union's actions by imposing a prohibition on the importation of European medical devices, effectively preventing EU companies from securing contracts in the medical device sector as part of a reciprocal measure. The United States and Canada are set to restart their trade negotiations following Ottawa's decision to eliminate its digital tax. In the United States, the Treasury Secretary has announced that nations lacking trade agreements will face tariffs reverting to their April levels by August 1. Authorities in Turkey have detained 3 mayors as part of a broader effort to suppress opposition voices. The Supreme Court of Brazil has issued a decision holding digital platforms accountable for the content posted by their users. The Reuters X account in India has been reinstated following its suspension due to a legal request. Elon Musk has established the America Party, aiming to influence key House and Senate seats and potentially alter narrow congressional votes. This move follows his departure from Trump over disagreements on tax and spending policies. In response, Trump claims that without government subsidies, Musk would need to return to South Africa and threatens to investigate him using Doge, reigniting their feud. Trump also warns that Doge could become a problem for Musk. Musk's new political party is set to be pro-gun and pro-Bitcoin, with Musk emphasizing the sanctity of the Second Amendment. China's foreign minister has informed the European Union that Beijing is unable to tolerate a defeat for Russia in Ukraine, according to media reports. Russia launched a significant air assault on Ukraine shortly after a phone conversation between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, during which Trump stated that no progress was made regarding a ceasefire in Ukraine. Trump reportedly expressed to Ukrainian President Zelensky his desire to assist Ukraine with air defense measures. At the Rio summit, the BRICS group criticized tariffs, attacks in Iran, and the situation in Gaza, but refrained from explicitly mentioning the United States. In response, Trump cautioned about imposing a 10% tariff on what he described as anti-American policies by BRICS. TikTok is reportedly developing a new version of its app specifically for users in the United States. Trump has announced that he will begin discussions with China regarding the sale of TikTok, indicating that a deal is almost finalized. He also mentioned that he plans to disclose the identity of a TikTok buyer in approximately 2 weeks. Letters have revealed that tech giants in the U.S. were granted immunity by the Department of Justice to disregard the TikTok ban. The United States has increased its militarized areas to encompass 1/3 of the southern border, which has sparked significant debate. In response to Trump's visa restrictions, Harvard and Toronto universities have collaborated to welcome international students. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has reported the arrest of Mexican boxer Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who is linked to the Sinaloa cartel and had an outstanding criminal warrant by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Iran has instructed millions of Afghans to depart the country by a specified deadline, warning that failure to comply will result in arrest. The United Nations reports that hundreds of thousands of Afghans have been compelled to leave Iran due to this intensified crackdown. Russia has made history by becoming the first country to officially acknowledge the Taliban government in Afghanistan since their takeover in 2021. A review conducted by the CIA of the 2016 investigation into Russian interference in the U.S. election has concluded that there were no significant errors. Sean Diddy Combs has been acquitted of the most severe charges against him, but he will continue to be held in custody for the time being. After 100 years, Paris has lifted the prohibition on public swimming in the Seine River. YouTube has announced that it will raise the minimum age requirement for live streaming to 16 years old. Tucker Carlson has requested that an interview with Iran's president be broadcast. Iran's president has instructed the country to halt its cooperation with the UN's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, leading to the withdrawal of UN nuclear inspectors from Iran due to safety concerns. Reuters has reported, citing U.S. sources, that Iran has been making preparations to mine the Strait of Hormuz. In other news, Shell-led LNG Canada has successfully shipped its first cargo to satisfy the energy demands of Asia. The South China Morning Post has highlighted that the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict is heightening Asia's energy security anxieties, particularly regarding the potential risks associated with the Strait of Hormuz. In the United States, Texas is experiencing devastating floods, resulting in at least 82 fatalities. Families of those missing are anxiously waiting and holding on to hope. Europe is enduring a severe heat wave, with Paris expected to reach 104 degrees Fahrenheit 41 degrees Celsius. The Eiffel Tower has been closed due to the intense heat, which is attributed to a Saharan dust storm affecting France. In India, New Delhi has declared that implementing a fuel ban on older vehicles is not practical. This comes 6 days after the Indian capital introduced a fuel ban on older cars as part of an initiative to combat pollution. In the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has placed 144 employees on leave after they signed a letter expressing criticism of President Trump. Stat reports that nearly all NIH grants that were previously terminated are being reinstated, primarily in states that lean Democratic. President Trump signed the spending bill during the White House's 4th of July festivities. Concurrently, as the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, ceases its operations, Senator Marco Rubio has indicated that future U.S. foreign aid will be restricted, with USAID programs now being managed by the State Department. Amazon introduces a new artificial intelligence foundation model designed to enhance its robotic operations and reaches the milestone of deploying its 1 millionth robot. China organizes the inaugural completely autonomous AI robot football match. In the United Kingdom, a government minister instructs the Turing AI Institute to concentrate on defense initiatives and calls for a comprehensive restructuring of the country's premier AI research institution. A Norwegian pension fund has decided to remove U.S. and German defense companies from its investment portfolio due to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Maersk has ceased transporting goods to illegal Israeli settlements located in the West Bank. A report has surfaced criticizing a plan developed by BCG to relocate Palestinians from Gaza, as well as the Tony Blair Institute's association with this plan, which has been denounced as an act of ethnic cleansing. The White House has announced that the United States will pause certain weapons deliveries to Ukraine. In Croatia, a right-wing singer made headlines by performing a pro-Nazi salute alongside his fans. Poland is set to implement border controls with Germany and Lithuania due to migration concerns. Canada has instructed the Chinese company Hikvision to cease its operations within the country. Axios has disclosed that in the United States, WhatsApp has been prohibited from being used on devices owned by House staffers. The U.S. is considering implementing restrictions on AI chips in Malaysia and Thailand due to concerns related to China. Malaysia has implemented a prohibition on importing plastic waste from the United States and various other nations. In a related development, Thailand is proposing additional trade concessions to the United States in an effort to prevent a potential 36% tariff. President Trump has declared the establishment of a preliminary trade agreement with Vietnam. A recent study suggests that burnout may not be solely a work-related issue. Research indicates that humans possess distinct breathing patterns, often referred to as breathing fingerprints, which could potentially provide insights into an individual's health status. Furthermore, new findings emphasize that there is no level of processed meat consumption that can be considered safe. The New York Times is set to begin investigating deleted ChatGPT logs following its legal victory over OpenAI. Cloudflare is launching a pay-per-crawl service, allowing content creators to charge AI crawlers for accessing their data. Denmark is addressing the issue of deepfakes by granting individuals copyright over their own facial features. A company based in the United Kingdom has made a significant advancement in tritium production, which could potentially enhance the availability of fuel for nuclear fusion. Google has made a strategic move by purchasing 200 megawatts of fusion energy, despite the fact that this energy source is not yet in existence. In the United States, the first heart transplant performed entirely by robots has been successfully completed without the need to open the patient's chest. Research indicates that air pollution is associated with DNA mutations that contribute to lung cancer. Engaging in more than 100 minutes of walking daily has been shown to significantly reduce the likelihood of experiencing low back pain. Carrying excess weight is found to increase the risk of breast cancer in postmenopausal women who also have cardiovascular disease. NASA has partnered with Netflix to broadcast rocket launches and spacewalks this summer. Scarlett Johansson has surpassed $14.8 billion in global box office earnings, becoming the highest-grossing Hollywood actor ever, surpassing her Marvel co-stars Robert Downey Jr. and Zoe Saldana. Anna Wintour has retired from her position at American Vogue after serving for 37 years. In the United States, the Sinaloa cartel employed phone data and surveillance cameras to locate FBI informants, according to the Department of Justice. The notorious cartel reportedly hired a hacker to utilize surveillance cameras and phone data to track and eliminate FBI informants, as stated by the U.S. government. The Colombian Navy intercepted a drone narcosub powered by Starlink, which was a boat converted for uncrewed smuggling operations. Furthermore, new records have revealed that a shadowy CIA officer monitored Lee Harvey Oswald prior to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Bloomberg discusses how call center employees are growing weary of being confused with artificial intelligence. The Verge highlights the resistance of graphic artists in China against AI, which they feel diminishes their unique artistic expression. A Microsoft executive suggests that employees who have been laid off might find AI useful in managing the emotional challenges that come with job loss. According to a study reported by Kelley Blue Book, cars are increasingly experiencing blind spots in various areas. A study has revealed that overfishing has led to a reduction in the body size of cod by half since the 1990s. Greece has implemented work breaks in response to a severe heat wave affecting the nation. Meta has emerged victorious in a legal battle against authors who claimed copyright infringement due to the use of their books in AI training. Microsoft is facing a lawsuit from authors who allege that their books were improperly utilized in AI training processes. Apple has been unsuccessful in its attempt to dismiss a case accusing it of monopolizing the U.S. smartphone market. In response to potential fines, Apple has modified its App Store policies in the European Union. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have been instructed to evaluate cryptocurrency as a potential asset when purchasing mortgages. In Russia, a new registry for crypto mining equipment has been established to help reduce illegal activities. The U.S. Secret Service has amassed a $400 million fund from cryptocurrencies seized over the past decade as part of scam investigations. In an effort to satisfy Trump and maintain financial support, the University of California has prohibited student governments from engaging in boycotts against Israel. Trump Media has introduced a new TV streaming service that includes the Newsmax channel, available worldwide. Trump is exerting pressure to finalize trade agreements by Wednesday, although there are indications that negotiations might be extended. A child from the world's oldest known burial site has been identified as a hybrid of Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. An ancient Egyptian genome has shown that it has roots in North Africa and ancestry from the Fertile Crescent. In Peru, archaeologists have discovered a city that is 3,500 years old, which served as a connection between the coastal regions and the Andes. Discover the latest updates in the realms of cryptocurrency, politics, technology, and beyond. Stay informed with NewsSourceScrollers edition from June 16, 2025 to June 20 edition from June 16, 2025 to June 23, 2025 for a comprehensive daily news digest. YouTube comprehensive daily news digest. YouTube music charts, global top songs from June 13 to June 19, 2025, feature the following hits. Die With a Smile, by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Shaky by Sunja Rathod and G-Spark, APT by Rose and Bruno Mars, and Lail Perry by Yo-Yo Honey Singh and Samar Kaur. Spotify's weekly top songs global list for the period from Friday, June 13 to Thursday, June 19, 2025, includes the following tracks. Ordinary by Alex Warren, Manchild by Sabrina Carpenter, Back to Friends by Sombre, and Die With a Smile featuring Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. Discover the most popular games on Steam. This list highlights the leading titles in terms of sales and player engagement worldwide. Based on the top 100 revenue-generating products, here are the standout games from Tuesday, June 10, 2025, to Tuesday, June 17, 2025. Counter-Strike 2, PUBG, Battlegrounds, Stellar Blade, and Dune, Awakening. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. CISA releases cybersecurity advisory on Simple Help RMM vulnerability. Another contribution to the AI landscape. Google's Magenta Realtime. Magenta Realtime is an open-source model developed by Google for generating music. It shares the same research foundation and technology as MusicFX DJ and Lyria Realtime. This model allows for the ongoing creation of musical audio, which can be guided by a text prompt, an audio sample, or a combination of both, with varying weights. Its compact size facilitates deployment in settings with limited resources, such as live performances or using freely accessible collab TPUs. The United States launched airstrikes on 3 nuclear facilities in Iran, with President Trump describing the operation as a very successful move as he becomes involved in the escalating Iran-Israel conflict. Just 2 days prior, Trump expressed skepticism about Iran's request for a ceasefire, asserting that Israel is currently winning. Meanwhile, European leaders are advocating for diplomatic discussions, but Iran claims that the possibility of diplomacy has been destroyed. Turkish President Erdogan has warned that an Israel-Iran war is approaching a point of no return and has pledged to increase missile production. Trump has cautioned Iran to seek peace or risk further military actions. In the United States, the Supreme Court has granted permission for fuel companies to file lawsuits against California's stringent emission regulations. 20 days prior, in the U.S., oil companies were confronted with a wrongful death lawsuit linked to climate change, initiated by a U.S. woman in what is considered the first-ever wrongful death lawsuit against major oil corporations. A study has revealed that an area of forest equivalent in size to North America would be required to counteract the reserves held by big oil. Furthermore, another study has indicated that the color of the ocean is undergoing changes due to the effects of climate change. Vice President J.D. Vance criticized Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass and mocked Senator Alex Padilla during his visit to Los Angeles, asserting that the National Guard remains essential in the city and mistakenly referring to Padilla as Jose Padilla. Meanwhile, Democrats are investigating the FBI's decision to handcuff Senator Padilla 10 days ago, after he was forcibly removed from a news conference by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem in Los Angeles. A federal judge has blocked Senator Marco Rubio's policy against transgender and non-binary individuals on passports, as well as a similar policy by former President Trump. Ma's son has proposed a $1 trillion artificial intelligence hub in the United States to both TSMC and the Trump team. According to Bloomberg, Apple executives have engaged in internal discussions regarding the potential acquisition of the AI startup Perplexity. Reuters has reported that DeepSeek has been assisting China's military efforts and has managed to bypass export controls, as stated by a U.S. official. NATO has decided to increase its defense spending target, but Spain has announced it will not participate, deeming NATO's expected 5% defense spending increase as unreasonable. South Korea is preparing to enter the global competition to develop 6th-generation fighter jets. Eutelsat has secured €1.35 billion to enhance its efforts in competing with European Starlink, as French President Macron emphasizes the need for Europe to regain its status as a space power. Canada is enhancing its efforts to safeguard its steel and aluminum workers and industries by implementing counter-tariffs on these products and keeping the $10 billion large enterprise tariff loan facility available. South Korea is preparing a $22 billion additional budget to address the economic impact of tariffs on its growth. In the United States, housing construction has decreased to its lowest level in 5 years due to the burden of tariffs on the sector. The United States has restarted issuing visas to international students, but it now requires them to provide access to their social media accounts. The new regulations mandate that foreign students unlock their social media profiles, and the U.S. Embassy is requesting every social media username used over the past 5 years on new visa applications. A study indicates that immigrant graduates earn higher salaries compared to their U.S.-born counterparts. Furthermore, former President Trump has stated that Harvard has acted appropriately, and an announcement regarding a potential deal may be forthcoming soon. Pakistan is planning to propose Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. The United States, mainland China, and Hong Kong are at the forefront of the competition for New Zealand's highly sought-after golden visas. Vladimir Putin has declared that all of Ukraine belongs to Russia, highlighting Russia's territorial aspirations in the region. A group supporting Israel has allegedly breached the Iranian cryptocurrency platform Nobitex, making off with more than $90 million. Furthermore, a cyber attack targeted Iran's bank SIPA, with responsibility claimed by a hacktivist group aligned with Israel. In reaction, the Iranian government has implemented several protective measures against potential cyber threats, including disconnecting the internet, banning officials from using internet-linked devices, and advising citizens to delete WhatsApp from their mobile devices. However, WhatsApp has denied Iran's claim that it is working with Israel for espionage activities. Scientists caution that the bright lights in casinos might be altering your brain, making you more inclined to take risks. A study by Microsoft reveals that there is an increasing trend of meetings being scheduled after 8 p.m. In Britain, a severe heatwave led to 4 days of turmoil, as the intense heat caused a surge in tempers throughout the nation. Research indicates that prohibiting plastic bags effectively reduces litter on shorelines. The rise in global temperatures is contributing to a significant surge in cases of obstructive sleep apnea. Satellites from the European Space Agency have successfully produced the first artificial total solar eclipse in the vastness of space. Chinese film studios are set to create AI-driven remakes of iconic kung fu movies featuring legendary actors like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li. Mark Zuckerberg is spearheading an aggressive AI talent acquisition campaign, offering substantial $100 million compensation packages. In a related development, Sam Altman revealed that Meta extended $100 million bonuses to employees at OpenAI. Despite these advancements, AI has shown minimal influence on the overall well-being of workers, even though there are self-reported concerns about job satisfaction. A recent study indicates that trust in artificial intelligence is most prevalent in China and low-income countries. Creators have expressed surprise at the revelation that Google utilizes YouTube content to train its AI systems. Furthermore, research suggests that social media has become the primary source of news for people in the United States. A recent study conducted by MIT indicates that the use of ChatGPT from the beginning of a student's learning process can alter brain function and diminish creativity. This research suggests that ChatGPT may be contributing to the erosion of critical thinking skills among students. A study by Anthropic reveals that some of the leading AI models have a blackmail rate of up to 96% when targeting executives. In a historical parallel, scientists once collected and preserved pre-nuclear steel, and now there is a similar trend of hoarding content that existed before the advent of AI. In a limited trial, individuals suffering from severe diabetes have been cured using a new medication. The FDA has given its approval to a potent HIV drug that demonstrated the ability to nearly eradicate the virus's spread in clinical trials. Trump's Environmental Protection Agency is planning to revisit the decision to ban asbestos, a substance known to cause cancer. U.S. Steel, which was once the largest company in the United States, is currently owned by foreign entities. The Wall Street Journal has reported that the Bank of New York Mellon has reached out to Northern Trust to explore the possibility of a merger. Morgan Stanley suggests that Beijing might utilize Hong Kong as a trial site for stablecoins linked to the yuan. The International Energy Agency, IEA, has predicted that China's demand for oil will reach its highest point sooner than previously anticipated. In a significant environmental move, Ireland has closed its final coal-fired power plant, making it the 15th nation in Europe to eliminate coal from its energy mix. A recent study indicates that the swift decline in cloud cover is playing a role in the occurrence of unprecedentedly high temperatures. The Russian leader has asserted that several nations are ready to supply Iran with nuclear weapons after the United States launched strikes. 5 days prior, Russia cautioned the U.S. against attacking Iran, highlighting the potential for a nuclear disaster. In the United States, officials have admitted their uncertainty regarding the current status of Iran's uranium reserves. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has stated that Israel is nearing its objectives in Iran, as the U.S. becomes more involved in the conflict between Israel and Iran by targeting 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. In the United States, the number of abortions continued to increase in 2024, largely due to the availability of telehealth prescriptions, according to a recent report. In the United Kingdom, members of Parliament have supported an assisted dying bill in a significant vote held in the House of Commons. The Supreme Court has upheld a law that prohibits gender-affirming care for minors, marking a setback for transgender rights, as it also approved a Tennessee ban on such care for children. Texas has discreetly halted funding for its state border wall project, which is only 8% completed. Trump's border security official has stated that immigration enforcement actions at farms and hotels will persist. Children are engaging in conflicts during anti-ICE protests and raids within the virtual world of Roblox. The governor of Texas has signed a law that prohibits individuals from China from purchasing real estate within the state. Former President Trump has expressed the opinion that the United States has an excessive number of holidays where people do not work, specifically mentioning Juneteenth. Whoopi Goldberg has made a statement comparing the challenges faced by Black Americans to those experienced by people in Iran. Iran is allegedly taking steps to shut down the Strait of Hormuz following U.S. military actions. According to Axios, senior Democrats were kept uninformed about the plans for the strike on Iran. Hegseth mentioned that congressional leaders were briefed on the U.S. attack on Iran only after the aircraft had safely returned. Sources indicate that Trump's strikes on Iran were based on intuition rather than concrete intelligence, as U.S. spy agencies evaluate that Iran has not yet made a decision regarding the development of a nuclear bomb. J.D. Vance asserts that the United States is engaged in conflict with Iran's nuclear ambitions rather than Iran itself, and he emphasizes that the U.S. has no interest in deploying ground troops in Iran. Vance also cautions against any retaliatory actions by Iran, while Donald Trump advocates for regime change to make Iran great again. The U.S. urges China to stop Iran from blocking the Strait of Hormuz, which could severely disrupt global oil supplies. Marco Rubio indicates that the U.S. is prepared to engage in discussions with Iran following recent strikes, but he strongly advises against Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz, describing it as a suicidal move. U.S. military actions against Iran's nuclear sites have prompted promises of retaliation from Hamas and the Houthis, while global leaders respond. It is reported that Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, has selected 3 possible successors as he remains concealed in a bunker. The United States has imposed sanctions on individuals and entities supplying Iran with defense equipment and facilitating Houthi oil trade. Harvard employed a researcher to investigate its connections to slavery. He claims the findings led to his dismissal. We discovered an excessive number of slaves. The New York Post indicates that Pelosi earned millions last year, with her investment portfolio surpassing the performance of every major hedge fund, achieving remarkable returns. Recent trademark filings hint that Trump might be planning to introduce a wireless phone brand, as the Trump Organization reveals a mobile plan and a $499 smartphone. The United States Supreme Court has affirmed a law that permits legal action against Palestinian authorities in connection with attacks. Israeli officials have issued a warning that Iran is allegedly taking control of security cameras to conduct espionage activities. El Al Airlines has announced plans to commence rescue flights departing from Israel beginning on Monday, following the receipt of 25,000 applications. Attorneys representing drug traffickers and individuals accused of sexual abuse are on the verge of being appointed as judges in Mexico, as highlighted in a report 3 weeks ago titled "An Ex-Convict and Cartel Lawyers Are Among Mexico's Judicial Candidates." Additionally, the U.S. Treasury has imposed sanctions on leaders of the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generation under counterterrorism measures. Furthermore, cybercriminals have infiltrated Aflac, continuing their hacking campaign targeting the U.S. insurance sector. Britain's Reform Party has introduced the Britannia card aimed at attracting the wealthiest individuals back to the country. However, a tax expert has cautioned that Nigel Farage's proposed bonanza for billionaires could result in an annual cost of £34 billion for the UK. In Germany, a lawmaker has criticized the top-up benefit system, arguing that it promotes low wages. In the United States, the GOP is advocating for individuals up to the age of 64 to work in order to receive food